Let me tell you how I turned a $500 fine into the wildest act of suburban rebellion this neighborhood's ever seen, all thanks to a woman named Karen, the self-declared empress of our HOA. No kidding, this lady walked around like she was defending Buckingham Palace, gripping that clipboard like it was the launch codes for a nuclear submarine. You ever seen someone patrol their neighbor's grass with more passion than a park ranger tracking poachers? That was Karen. Now, to me, that pool was everything. I'd poured years of late nights, skipped vacations, and busted knuckles into saving up. Just wanted a place for my family to laugh, cool off, build some memories that stuck. The day it was finished, those blue tiles shining in the sun, my kids were bouncing off the walls, and my wife had that look like we'd carved out a slice of our own little paradise. For about 36 hours, I felt like the richest man on the block. Then came Karen, gliding into my yard, eyes narrowed, lip curled, clutching that clipboard like she was about to serve me a royal eviction. 2 days after I opened the mailbox, bam, official-looking envelope, HOA logo staring me down. Violation. $500 fine. Pool exceeds acceptable community standards. Disrupts neighborhood aesthetic. I nearly spit out my coffee. Too big. Are you kidding me? City approved every inch. But Karen saw a threat to her beige and boredom empire. That's the thing about folks like her. Control's the only real joy they have. I almost laughed, but mostly I burned. Let me back up a sec. Our neighborhood's the kind of place where people mow their lawns diagonally just for the HOA points. My pool. It was the first real feature anyone had built in years. So when Karen started waving that fine around, a couple of her loyal soldiers fell right in line. Mr. Henderson across the street, he wagged his finger like I'd run over his mailbox, called it a cheap motel eyesore. Mrs. Martinez, 2 houses down, whispered over the fence, "She fined me for sunflowers last year. Don't let her win." That gave me a weird sense of comfort. Maybe I wasn't crazy. But $500 still stung. That's groceries for a month, you know what I mean? I stared at that fine for a long time that night. Then I got stubborn. If Karen wanted a fight, well, she was going to get it, and not the kind she expected. I paid the fine, kept my head down, let her think she'd broken me. But in my head, I was building something way bigger than a pool, something that'd haunt her HOA dreams. Sure enough, Karen didn't stop at the pool. She strutted down the street every morning, clipboard under her arm, like a scepter, tapping notes, making sure everyone could hear her little quips about community standards. "Glad to see you've complied," she'd announced like she'd won the neighborhood Olympics. I just grinned, bit my tongue, and started scheming. You ever go to one of those HOA meetings? It's like jury duty, except more depressing. Karen's at the front, banging her gavel, flanked by her board of beige loyalists. The night she decided to make an example of me, the whole room turned, waiting for me to hang my head in shame. "Your pool violates proportional standards," she crowed. "Rules are the lifeblood of our community." I raised my hand. "My pool's city approved. There's no such rule." She narrowed her eyes. "The board interprets the rules as necessary." I just shook my head. She wanted to break me right there in front of the whole block. Instead, what she did was light a fuse. That night, I started flipping through the HOA handbook. 400 pages of beige insanity rules about mailbox color, gnome heights, and Christmas lights. But somewhere I knew was a loophole. At 3 in the morning, high on caffeine and righteous rage, I found it. Water-based landscaping features such as fountains, ponds, or similar installations are permitted, provided they comply with city safety codes. No mention of size, no limits. If a pond was okay, who's to say a lazy river wasn't just landscaping? I practically cackled. Next day I hit City Hall, asked the zoning guy if that meant what I thought it did. "Legally, if it's permitted and safe, the HOA can't stop you," he said, barely looking up. And that's when the plan really took off. I called Dave, the only contractor I knew with more scars than patience, a guy who could build a hotel out of Legos and make it code compliant. "What are we building, an outdoor kitchen?" He grinned. "Nope. Water park. He just stared. Then he broke into the biggest smile and said, "Hell yes." From then on, it was all permits and blueprints. Dave knew everyone at City Hall. We pulled every legal lever, noise, electrical, plumbing, safety, got everything signed, stamped, laminated. The kitchen table piled up with approvals. Karen was watching, prowling the fence, snapping pictures, muttering about the spirit of the rules. We built anyway. Construction started with the lazy river. Dave's crew dug it like they were laying the Panama Canal. Next came the snack shack. Then the Colossus, a slide so big you could see it from 3 blocks away. Neighbors peeked out windows. Kids pressed their faces to the fence. Teenagers live-streamed the whole thing for TikTok. Karen stormed around with petitions and flyers warning of community erosion. Most folks just rolled their eyes or joined the party. Even Mrs. Martinez brought cookies and cheered us on. We had city inspectors on site, checking every bolt and pump, signing off with grins. The fire chief called our emergency access textbook. By now, Dave's crew had turned the build into a neighborhood event. People brought tools, food, even babysat for my kids. The revolution was on. Karen called emergency meetings, fired off letters cease and desist, threats of lawsuits. I'd just staple a copy of my permits to the HOA's door. The lawyer they sent left with his tail between his legs. By the time the Colossus rose over the fence, even Henderson admitted, "Well, it is kind of impressive." You could feel the power shifting. People started standing up, laughing louder, living bigger. Grand opening day, the air sizzled. Kids on bikes, teens with cameras, parents trailing coolers and towels. I'd invited the whole block. By 10 a.m., the place was packed. Colossus sparkled, lazy river, bubbled, wave pool roared, and I manned the snack shack like a circus barker. Karen showed up, white visor gleaming, clipboard shaking. "This is chaos." "An abomination," she screamed. "Care for some lemonade, Karen?" I grinned. The neighbors burst out laughing. Kids raced down the slide. Even the local news van rolled up, catching Karen mid-tantrum for the evening broadcast. By sundown, the water park was viral clips all over TikTok, memes everywhere, the neighborhood finally alive. But Karen wasn't done. She called another crisis meeting. The clubhouse was packed, teens in Colossus shirts, parents smiling. "Anarchy," she shouted. "Noise traffic. Our peaceful community turned into a circus. Correction." Mrs. Martinez piped up, "A water park and a damn good one." I stood up. "Everything here is permitted, inspected, and safe. Show me the bylaw," I broke. Karen flipped through her binder. Nothing. The room erupted in applause. She stormed out, her power vanishing with her. After that, the HOA just faded. Letters were ignored, meetings empty, the board a paper tiger. People floated the lazy river, rode the Colossus, grilled hot dogs, lived like the block was theirs again. Even the local cops came by, checked my permits, then asked if they could take a turn on the slide. Karen tried one last stand, petitions, newspaper rants, even called the police on public endangerment. The officers smiled, stamped my permits, and asked for snow cones. I thought she'd explode on the spot. When the regional news did a story called HOA Tyranny Meets Its Match, showing Karen storming off as kids played behind her, she resigned for health reasons. No one believed it. Nobody cared. The board collapsed, and the HOA died with a whimper. That $500 fine, best investment of my life. But the wildest part, it didn't end there. I got an email from a real theme park company, wanted to sponsor, expand, and turn my backyard into a prototype for community water parks. At first, I thought it was a prank, but they were dead serious. Dave just about fell over when I told him. Construction doubled news vans lined the street. The mayor even showed up for the grand reopening. Splash Valley Community Park, the place went from beige suburb to destination. Property values soared. Local businesses boomed. The HOA, the thing Karen swore would protect the neighborhood, turned out to be the only thing holding it back. Sometimes all it takes is one person refusing to shrink down just because someone with a clipboard tells them to. You stand up, push back, get a little creative with the rules, and suddenly the whole block remembers how to have fun again. Karen lost her power the moment people chose joy over fear. She wanted obedience. What she got was a legacy, just not the one she wanted. So if you've ever been smacked with a petty fine, stared down by a little tyrant, or told to keep your head down for community values, don't let them win. There's always a loophole. Sometimes you just have to build a water park in your backyard and invite the whole world in. If you've tangled with your own Karen, drop a comment below. Let's hear your stories. And hey, hit subscribe, share where you're watching from, and remember, sometimes the best revenge isn't anger, it's joy, so big, so loud that nobody can ignore it.